I replaced the sand in my filter, and when I put the top back on, I put it on backwards. And now to run it, the setting is opposite and the handle is facing toward backwash to run it. What must I do to change it back to normal?
Take it back apart. I guess I don't follow what the question is. If you took the multi-port off, that's what I'm gathering, then it must be a top mount. So if you pulled the top mount off, there's 3 ports on it though. I suppose depending on how the pipes are ran and everything else, that, you know, anything's possible. So regardless, it was hooked up backwards. So since you were able to take it apart, then basically you reverse the connections you have. Easiest thing to do is, my assumption based on the details we have, is this is based on the plumbing. So I would undo the unions, whatever you have, and, you know, take it apart and just make sure that the other lines rotate and go back to where they were. Without a make, model, or anything of that sort, it's hard to think about it off the top of my head. However, depending on the setup, you might be able to take off the top with the 6 screws, if that's the setup that you have. Typically they have 6 or 10, or, you know, depending on how large it is, and you could rotate the top, but the pipes are typically labeled, and since it's set in a certain way, unless you had first taken apart the actual top of the multi-port where the screws are, then you probably shouldn't open that up. So if you're trying to figure out what the easiest way to kind of take it apart again is disconnect the pipes, and then if it's a band clamp style, is the clamp that goes around the bulkhead of the filter, you just loosen that back up, and just, you know, wiggling it a little bit, you should be able to turn the multi-port back to where the pipes go. But you get rough with anything and you can easily break it, so just be careful. So you can take the clamp all the way off, pull the filter, the multi-port all the way off, and then turn it and set it back into place. Yeah, it's one of those things I don't really like to give advice on, simply because some of those parts, depending on how old, can be brittle, and sometimes you can break them, so just be cautious.